Action Works Entertainment is proud to present Sittin on a Tailgate podcast with your host, DJ Big Country. Action Works Entertainment is proud to present Sittin on a Tailgate podcast with your host, DJ Big Country.
You have reached the Redneck Hotline. If you would like to talk to a fellow redneck, please dial 1 and then say 1, because we're not going to know what you dialed unless you say it. If you are married,
Don't let me startle you. I'm just doing the rebel yell here to kind of kick things off. You know what I mean?
That's right. It's another Wednesday right here at Sittin on the Tailgate. I'm your host, DJ Big Country. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the show. It's another wet and sunshiny day here in Central Florida. Been raining for the last 2 days, but today was actually pretty nice. No rain, and things are starting to green up a little bit and dry up a little bit. So, yeah, it's been a pretty nice day today, I must say. So, how's everybody doing? Let's see what we got going on here tonight. A little bit here in a couple minutes, we'll be talking to one of the assistant coaches from FAMU, Stephen Jerry. He is one of the offensive coaches there, and we're going to be talking to him about the Florida Classic that they have down here at the Citrus Bowl every November. We'll be talking to him a little bit tonight and see what's been going on and see if we can't get some inside views on what they have planned for next season. From what I have read and researched on, they had a pretty good spring season this year. They had some good team scrimmages. Looks like they got some. Pretty good players. I believe they're going to be. I think they're going to be loaded this year. So hopefully they can pull out the season this year with a winning season. Yeah, because last year was kind of iffy. They ended up 3-9 last year, but they are a Division I AA team in the NCAA College Athletic Association. But we're going to be talking to him. Other stuff we got going on in the news. Check this out. We are going to start another broadcast here in a couple weeks. Everything is getting ready to fly off here in high gear. We're going to be doing another broadcast called Big Country Radio. We're going to be mixing a little bit of new country with a little bit of rock. It'll be an hour-long show. Plus, this show here will continue on Wednesdays. We'll have more interviews with up-and-coming artists. We got a couple of them come up here in the next week or two. Some big names that you'll be seeing in country music here in the next, I'd say next year or so. That's how good they are, and that's how big they're getting. But talk a little bit here real quick about what was going on in country music radio. This gentleman, Mr. Hill, he is a radio producer / journalist / promoter. I guess he's a big top dog in Nashville, but he's been raising stink to where they feel that, and I quote what he said was that the girls, the female country artists, are tomatoes in a salad. Your Luke Bryants, your Blake Sheltons, they're the lettuce. Basically, he's saying if you play too much female country music, you don't get enough listeners. Well, I don't believe that. So, on that note, I pledge that I will help the female country artists as much as I can and put them on air and play their music as much as I can. And if you're out there listening, hit me up. Drop me an email at actionworksmusic@gmail.com, and I will get in touch with you, and we can get you on the show, get you interviewed, get your music played, and I will support female country music because I believe if it wasn't for them, guys would have nothing else to do. I mean, if you look at it, you got your Dolly Parton, you got Reba, you got Tammy Wynette, you got Loretta Lynn, Patsy Cline, all them girls from back in the day that has been in country music, has made country music today what it is. But, of course, that's how I feel about it. You know me, but, hey, check this out. If you're going to be in Orlando this weekend, I'm going to be out at the Stormy Hill Harley-Davidson in Claremont Saturday from 10 to 3. I will be working with them, hosting and emceeing the event out there. It's the 13th anniversary out there at Stormy Hill Harley-Davidson. I believe also 97 Country and 103.1 The Wolf will be out there with me. You got a chance to win a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. I believe they're taking the first 500 to register. So if you want more information on that, get online. Check out Stormy Hill Harley-Davidson in Claremont. Get all the 411 on that, and you can go from there and see if you can't win a nice Harley. Boy, that'd be nice to win a Harley, wouldn't it? Yeah. All right. Well, let's see if we can get Mr. Steve here on the phone. I keep saying that I'm always going to get dialing music for this thing, but I haven't done it yet, so. It's ringing. Huh?
Coach Jerry.
Coach Steve and Jerry, this is Big Country from Sittin on a Tailgate here in Orlando. How you doing, sir?
Doing well.
Hey, I appreciate you taking your time and your energy to talk with us on air today about FAMU football. Of course, you got the Florida Classic coming up here in November. So tell me a little bit, how did spring training go this year for you guys?
Went very well. With a brand new coaching staff, it was a chance for us to evaluate exactly who we had in the program and get a head start on next fall.
Now you're you're one of the assistant offensive coaches, right?
Yes, running back coach.
Running back. That's right. And of course, the head coach out there at FAMU is Alex Wood, and I believe some of your other coaches. You got Martin Spieler. He's one of the. I think he's the offensive coordinator, and then you got Mr. Lehman, who's the defensive coordinator out there. Now, from what I've been reading, and I've been reading a lot, believe it or not. I checked up on you guys on the websites, and it looks like you got a lot of seniors and juniors returning, but you also got a guy that impresses me on defense. His name is Michael Lovejoy, 6'4", 300-pound senior returning. Last season's stats, he had 40 tackles with 22 solos and 3.5 sacks. That's impressive. Now, is anybody looking at him to sign him to go pro maybe next year?
We're a little ahead of that right now. You know, we're still, like I said, we're still in the process of evaluating the kids, you know, finding out who they are as people, getting into their, you know, into their backgrounds, you know, finding out about them, their families, getting to know them a little bit better, building relationships so that we can then, you know, find out who the players are. You know, we kind of, Coach Wood takes it as, you know, let's find out who the people are, build a relationship first, and then we'll figure out who the players are. So, you know, once we get the players figured out, and, you know, not necessarily just from a stat standpoint, but also from, from a player standpoint and how they fit within our scheme and how we're going to do things, then we'll kind of figure that stuff out. And then, after that, down in November, December, then they'll start worrying about the pro stuff.
Right.
Right now, we're still, kind of focused on, introduction and learning schemes and learning people.
Right. Now, as far as your training regimen for this summer, I know what we went through back in the day. Is it pretty much the same? Has anything changed in the 20-plus years that we played, or is it still pretty much hitting the weight room at 5 o'clock in the morning and doing 2 or 3 workouts a day?
Nah, things are a lot different now with the NCAA, with the NCAA standards. And all of that stuff. The NCAA wants to make sure that they're treated as students first and, athletes second. And so a lot, and the other thing is now kids are training year round. They're not trying to pack, 6 months of work into, a year's work into 6 months, just working out during the season.
Right.
It's a little bit different now. So we try to do a little bit along as we go. We did do 6 o'clock workouts in the spring, but that was just for a short period. And then now this summer, most of the kids, they have their different lifting groups that's kind of centered around their classes and their centered around their classes and also centered around their work schedule because some of the kids have jobs during the summer.
Right. Now, what's their grade point average that they got to keep now to be eligible to keep playing each season now? Has it gone up, or is it pretty much still C, B average around there?
Yeah, still have to maintain about a C average, a little bit above, and then meet what they call annual progress towards degree. Annual progress towards degree essentially means that they have to be in 12 credit hours each semester.
Right.
So at the end of 1 year, they have to have completed 24, and then of course 48, and so forth and so on as they continue to matriculate towards graduation. If they come up short on credit hours, that's when they start to be docked and not meet progress towards degree. And when I say, credit hours, those credit hours have to be C or better. You can't have, basically 12 hours of B's.
Right, yeah. Now, here's an interesting thing. You guys look like you're loaded for wide receivers this year. You got Montavious Williams, you got Jarracus Jones, Victor Love, and Brandon Norwood. And you also got a couple, Trayvon Holmes. I mean, you guys are, it looks like you're 5 or 6 deep in the wide receiver department. What, who do you pick to look to help with the team this year as far as, going to maybe the playoffs?
We're still, like I said, we're still in that evaluation process and trying to get a lot of that figured out. There's no guarantees for one guy to say that he's going to be the guy,
right.
know. And again, it also depends on how they fit into our scheme. We're still just not at a point to say that this guy's this and that guy's that.
Right. Now, when will you guys make that decision? Probably around August when you guys first start practicing, or
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. We had some kids come. We have kids coming out of spring ball. In certain spots on the depth chart. But once we get back to the fall, those guys will still, and through the summer, those guys will have to earn those spots and keep those spots. And then once we get into the fall, those guys will have to earn those spots again. And again, keep those spots because we don't plan on giving anybody anything because everybody's got to earn their keep.
Right. Now you got two quarterbacks: redshirt junior Carlson Royal and junior Devontae Austin. Now, a lot of people are liking Carlson Royal. What do you think? He looks like might be the top dog to take the team ahead this year.
Well, coming out of the spring, he was listed as number 1. And got the most reps with the first team unit. But we've got a couple other kids that are in the program. We also had a junior college transfer that's in there, and then another young man. But Carson is the most senior and returns with the most experience of any of the group. So it's just a matter of, again, coming back in the fall and letting all those guys compete for the spot and see what happens.
Right. Now, as far as your schedule next year, I got it right here. Now, who would you pick to be the toughest team that you would have to face as far as now? I mean, UCF or USF is they've been tough last couple of years. I'd say Tennessee State's good. They're actually all pretty good if you think about it. But who would you pick the one that you would have to worry the most, that you have to really, hit it hard with them and take it home with them?
Well, anytime you have to step up and step up a level in competition, it's tough. Playing in South Florida, who's a Division I team, FBS, and with 85 scholarships, and we're sitting here with 63. It's tough. Those are the games that you look forward to, and those are the games that you really wanna play well in, because those are the games that really challenge you.
Right.
A lot of the kids on our roster, are kids that were looked over by USF or UCF or Miami or Florida State. So our kids, have something to prove. Our kids feel like, they feel that they can play at that level as well, and that those schools kind of, missed them and overlooked them, or didn't give them a chance to develop towards the end of their senior years, because, a lot of those schools, they're done with their class by, the end of the junior year.
Right, yeah.
I talk to a lot of Division I guys who are out on the road recruiting, and, I'm evaluating and looking at kids that are 2016 grads, which means they're rising seniors for next year, and they're looking at kids that are, rising juniors and rising sophomores.
Right, yeah.
To try to get those kids committed and get them committed early and in the program.
Right.
So it's just a matter of, our kids being able to step up and play at another level against that level of competition.
Well, let me ask you something interesting. In your opinion, being a coach and a player for all the years and stuff, how do you feel about these kids nowadays cutting school early just to go into the draft? Now, I mean, back when we were playing, that was unheard of. I mean, that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to go to college. You wanted to play football. You wanted to do 4 years or 5 years if you got redshirted. But what do you feel as these kids learn if they only do 3 years and then take the draft in the fourth year? Do you see a lot of them completing college, or are they just cutting college and just going for the money?
Most of them, or most of them. How do I put this? Let me put this the right way.
Just say it like it is, man.
We don't have these questions about golf. We don't have these questions about tennis. We don't have these questions about gymnastics, your individual sports.
Right.
We only seem to have these questions about your revenue, your collegiate revenue-generating sports of football and men's basketball.
Mm-hmm.
We had a women's basketball player come out early last year, which I believe was the first one. I can't remember what her name was. I think she came out as like a sophomore, and it was barely a bleep on the meter.
Right.
So why are we asking that question, and who are we asking that question about? You're talking about kids. We've also very rarely asked that question about baseball. I mean, you get these kids coming out of baseball, they go straight out of baseball, and they go straight to the MLB draft, and they're drafted in the first round, and everybody's giving them all these kudos because they're going straight to MLB out of high school.
Right, yeah.
So now why is there a problem when a kid comes straight out of high school and goes to the NBA, and it's basketball? Why are those two kids treated completely differently? We have 16 and 17-year-old young kids, male and female, playing tennis on the professional tennis tour, and nobody bats an eyelash. But then you turn around and you have a kid that leaves that's 20, 21, and he leaves college after his junior or senior year to go to the NFL and make money, but now there's a problem. I think that's kind of a double-edged deal there. If you're worried about education for one, then you need to be worried about education for all.
Right.
So then there needs to be a blanket statement that says nobody in any sport can go pro until they reach the age of 21. But that's not what we have.
Right. Yeah.
Because then the argument would be, well, you're holding back people between 18 to 21 from making a living and making money. Well, why isn't that the argument now?
Right.
Essentially, if you tell a kid he can't come out at 20 or 19 or 20 and go to the NBA or go to NFL, why are you saying, you're holding that kid back? You're holding that kid back from making income.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, every kid, with the exception, you can go back and do the research, but I've kind of looked at it for a long time.
Right.
Every kid that I know of, with the exception of maybe Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is about the only person that I've ever heard of that has come out, that has decided to stay in and benefited from it.
Right.
Name another person or another kid that decided to stay in and benefited from it and made the same amount of money the second year.
I could probably quote one person. And matter of fact, you recruited him back a few years ago.
Who's that?
Blake Bortles.
Debo?
No, Blake Bortles.
Yeah, but Blake was projected low this junior year, and then his senior year is when he blew up and actually got projected first round. He wasn't a first round draft pick. I'm talking about a guy that's projected to be a first or second round guy.
Okay, I got you.
Back.
You're talking about somebody that jumps right out from freshman and just keeps excelling every year all the way up to senior year.
Correct. That guy that he's a junior in his junior year and he's projected to be first round and he goes back. Next thing you know, he's fourth, fifth, sixth round.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just I'm like John Calipari, at Kentucky. Who am I to tell an 18, 19-year-old kid you have an opportunity to make life-changing money? Who am I? And I am benefiting from your skill set.
I know.
John Calipari makes tons and tons of money. The university makes tons and tons of money off of those kids. You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying.
Go out and make that same money.
I know what you're saying. I would just hope and feel that these kids have been taught enough in school and by peers and their parents and adults that if you do this, at least continue your education. While you're in the NFL, or making that buttload of money.
That's very difficult to do because of the work schedule. I mean, you're talking about you're going to work in the NFL. Literally, they go to work at the end of July, the middle of July, right?
Yeah.
And they don't stop work until January if you make the Super Bowl, December if you don't.
Yeah.
That's a whole fall semester, and so now you're telling them to go to the spring semester. Well, what about OTAs and minicamp?
Well, no, I'm not necessarily talking about going to classes itself. I mean, I'm sure they always got online stuff. I mean, my God, you can do just about anything online now.
Correct.
At least finish your degree that you started, because most of these guys are only short, but maybe 18 hours, 12 hours, maybe to finish their degree when they do.
True, but then I go back to my other argument. That needs to be blanket said for everybody.
Right,
It needs to be said for tennis players. It needs to be said for skiers. It needs to be said for, whoever. You know what I mean? It can't just be we get upset and we say, well, football players and basketball players have to finish their education.
Right, yeah.
It needs to be said across the board. If it's whoever's listening, and for you, go back and look this up. The percentage, and you will find that it's very, very minimal. Think about the guys that get drafted out of high school that skip college for Major League Baseball.
Right.
Now, it is said that those guys sign at Major League teams have to pay for their college once they get out, correct?
Right.
Go back and look at the percentage of how many of those Major League teams actually pay out those guys' pay out for a college degree when those guys leave. I guarantee you that percentage is very, very small.
All right. Real quick.
Because most of those guys, when they finish with the minor leagues, they're what? They're 26,
right.
27,
yeah.
28, and they don't want to go back to school, and they've made money.
Right, yeah. I see what you're saying. Real quick, who do you pick this year for the Florida Classic? You guys or BCU? How's BCU looking?
It's way too early to tell.
Too early?
We don't know. They're a brand new staff. They've got a lot of new faces on their staff. They've got a lot of new faces in their program. We're a brand new staff. We've got a lot of new faces in our program. It's we'll see what happens in November.
Well, maybe I should call you again in November then and have the same conversation. Listen, real quick, who do you pick for a repeat this year? I'm going Ohio State because, that's where I'm from, Bubba. Florida State's my second choice, but if it comes to my homeland, I got to pick Ohio State. Do you think they're going to repeat?
I hate to say it, but I've been so caught up in getting started, with our guys and our stuff. I really haven't seen a lot of what those guys have and who they're returning. So I've just really been caught up in what we have right now. On.
Well, they are loaded. They got three starting quarterbacks that are coming back. Ohio State, what was their names?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're loaded, so I look to see for Ohio State. But, Coach Stephen Jerry, I appreciate you for taking your time and talking with us, bud. I will definitely give you a shout, and we'll talk some more and hope to hear from you soon, buddy, okay?
All right.
I appreciate it, Coach. Have a good one. Have a great season.
You too.
All right. Bye. That was Coach Stephen Jerry from FAMU. They'll be here in Orlando in November next year to play the Central Florida Classic against Bethune-Cookman there at the Citrus Bowl. So I played football in high school with him. We played college ball together up in North Carolina. So he's been doing real good for himself. He's a great friend of mine, but I hope they do good this year. I really do. He brought up some interesting points about these players, but yes, I totally believe, if there's a way they can do it. I understand it's a tough road once you become in the pros, but if there's a will, there's a way. You didn't go to college for the 4 years or 5 years or 3 years or whatever just to not finish. But I stress to all athletes, young, old, if you're in school, try to finish it because your sports and your athletics will only take you so far. Got to have something to fall back on. A lot of people would probably disagree with me on that, but I've totally agreed with that for all my life, and I completely believe that. So, but if you want any more information, you can hit us up. actionworksmusic@gmail.com. Sitting on the Tailgate is on Facebook. You can hit us up on Instagram, Big Country Radio. Don't forget, our new show starts in 2 weeks. Hit us up. It's going to be a good time. Big Country Radio. Everything will be going in overdrive here in the next week or two. So make sure you check it out. We're going to close the show here real quick with a song from my buddy Patrick Gibson. I'll be out there with him at Stormy Hill, Harley-Davidson this Saturday. We will see you next time right here at Sittin' on the Tailgate.
It's been said this is as good as it gets. Ford Thunderbolt 1964. It's a North Georgia boy.